This is another free e-learning tutorial from dakinane.com. This is the second SeeSaw tutorial, following on from the first tutorial where we looked at how to set up a classroom and add students to our class. In this tutorial, we're going to look at some of the other features associated with the SeeSaw classroom. So once you've signed into your SeeSaw classroom, you can see up in the top right hand corner here, there's this spanner in the classroom header, and we can click on that and see some of the features that lie below. So as I said in the previous tutorial, you can make all the changes that you need once you set your class up. We can change the class name, the grade level, etc., etc. So we can make all those changes. We can even add more students, as you can see from that top button there. What's important to note here is that we can also manage teachers. On the free account, which most of us will have, the maximum number of teachers that you can have in a classroom is 2. And for most job share situations, that's absolutely fine. But if you find you need more teachers than that in a particular classroom, you're either going to have to share login details, or you're going to have to upgrade to the pro account. And the other two options here you can see in the class settings are the class theme and the class icon, which are just aesthetics, and you can have a play with those as you see fit. What's important as we scroll down through here is the student settings, and it's worth spending some time looking at the home learning student codes. Now, the home learning student codes are really important in terms of if you're setting this up in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but even on less dramatic terms, the home learning student codes are really important to use. So if you've got students who have taken holiday in term time and the parents want them to be able to continue with their learning, or if you've got a student who's at home who's sick for a few days, you can send them home a home learning student code which allows them to access their SeeSaw learning from home, and we'll look at those features in a moment. So if we click on this, what you get taken through to is this option here to print codes or download the codes. The whole SeeSaw setup recommends that you use something like a mail merge tool. So if you're using Google Docs or Google Slides, Sheets, you can use the autocrat add-on to mail merge your content, and you can just send out all of your class codes to all of your students or to the actual individual that you need to. But in response to the COVID-19 incident we're having at the moment, you can click on the FAQs at the bottom here, and this will take you through to the SeeSaw website, which gives you more information about remote teaching and remote learning. So if you click on this, and obviously once you get to their page, you click on the teachers link. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here to support you through that process. I'm not going to go into that now, but you need to know that it's there and you can use that. Obviously, there's a calendar of live webinars that are run by SeeSaw ambassadors and also by the SeeSaw company themselves. And the two other options down here, if you're remote learning for teachers who are new to SeeSaw, click on the yellow link and have a look at their ideas and their tutorials and their videos in there. And for those of you who are already using SeeSaw, look at the blue option. The point to note, though, about the remote home learning QR codes that you send home is, well, we made it clear here. You can see under class settings, if we go through this, we can go and look at the student sign-in mode, but I want you to look at the option here that says students can see each other's work. Now, students can see each other's work is a great thing to have when you've got your students logging on with a class QR code inside your classroom. Obviously, there are privacy issues if you want that to happen beyond the classroom. So the home student codes, the home learning student codes, automatically set the view for those students working from home to they can only see their own work. So no other member of the family at home can see any other student work. So it's great for privacy, and you don't need to change this setting here. You can turn it off if you want to, but there's no need to do that in this current situation. I always like the students to enable their own editing, and I also like to have all items before they get posted publicly to the stream have to be approved by a teacher, so I always make sure that's clicked on. Let's go on again. So down here we can see class settings, and again by default the enable class blog is turned off, but if you turn that on, that means that you don't have to enable family access if you don't want to. You can use the class stream that your students are doing with the work that they're doing as a an environment as a teaching and learning environment that you don't want your parents necessarily to have a look at absolutely everything. So if you enable the class blog, it allows you to take particular content. You can curate your own content from the class stream to the class blog, and that's the access that you can give to parents, which is a good opportunity for you to do. Managing folders, if you click on that link, that allows you to create folders before you start. And the next step down where it says show add folder step, this is currently set by default to never, but if you click on this, you can have the students see the folders that they've got access to, and so when they create work, you can get them to actually assign it to a particular folder before they submit it, so that they've put in the work. If it's a reading work, they put the reading work in the reading folder, etc., etc., etc. And that's just another step that you can outsource to the students, which means there's one step less that teachers need to do. And the skills section here is a good one worth looking at, but I won't go into it at the moment. You just need to know it's there, and you can get your children to track through and practice some work using skills, but that's sort of advanced use. And at this particular stage, we're just going to look at making sure that content is being created and distributed, and students know how to access it, and you know how to make it go live when you've approved it. So let's move on. So over here, you can see in the Manage Folders option here, I've already created some folders. We can click on the Create a Folder button, and you can assign colors and names to each folder. By default, you can see here the never is the top option, and I've set mine to students and teachers as described before. And what we can now do is start looking at the power of SeeSaw to actually create activities, or for teachers to create activities. So although the children can create content, and we'll look at creating content in a different video, what's important is for teachers to be able to use this space to push out content and activities to the students so they can do their work independently and do it at home. So back on the home page here, if you click on the activities option, you can see here when you click on browse the activity library, there's nothing scheduled and nothing archived. So we need to click on that link, and this is what happens. You've got two tabs. You've got the community and the My Library tab. Under the community tab, this is all the stuff that other teachers globally have uploaded to the SeeSaw community, and you can add your own content too. So you can see you can search by grade and by subjects. So we can just have a quick look through this. So for example, if I click on this and look for third grade reading, there are 2,537 activities already created for you. So you can look at these things and decide whether they meet your needs, and you can like them and add them to your own library, and then you can distribute them to your students. So there is an element of not having to reinvent the wheel, but obviously you can also create your own content to tailor specific needs within your classroom, and also makes it specific to what your students are doing as well. So if you click on My Library, the My Library tab here, you can see here are some of the activities I've already made. And you can see the green assign buttons means I can assign them to particular students or to the whole class, and we'll look at that in a moment. But in this instance, we're going to look at creating a new activity. So we're going to click on that icon there. And this is where we can really start to use the power of SeeSaw to put you in the space where your students are. So in this instance, perhaps they're at home. So you can give it a name, you can type the instructions for your students, but what's really powerful is actually not writing, but using the multimedia tools. And I would suggest using Add Multimedia Instructions, and that means it would make a video of you talking to your students about the task they have to do. So that section is really important to get right in terms of making sure you're communicating with your students and they can see and hear you, and I think that's very important. Lastly, you've got to make the actual resource itself. So if you click on Add a Template for Student Responses, what you can see, what you load up here, you can either upload something you've pre-created from something like Google Slides. So often I will take a screenshot of something and upload that, and the students can write over the top of that with the drawing tools. But you can also create content using the drawing icon. So if we click on this, what we've got here is a series of screenshots from the left-hand side of the screen. You'll see that you can add text, you can add audio, you can add a picture. So if we click on the add picture option or hover over it, this little menu pops out and there's an upload function. So if you click on the upload, if you've already created some images, so in this case here I've made an arrow, and I made this arrow in Google Drawing with a transparent background, so the only thing that loads up is the actual icon I want to see without the background, and I can upload this and put it into the space that I've created. So in this example here, I was making a computational thinking activity where the students are going to do some directions, and you can either decide to lock the icon in place, and obviously I don't want this one locked in place. I lock the background in place so the students can't move that, but these icons, they're free to move around because I want them to do some coding. And the other option there is the duplicate. So you only have to upload one of those icons, and then I duplicate them and stack them on top of each other, as you'll see in the next screenshot. And all the tools the student need are on the drawing that I've done. So when the students actually use the activity, they can drag things around, they can use the other tools for drawing and recording and share what they're doing. So the SeeSaw activity tool and creator is a very powerful tool. As you can see here from this screenshot, I've now created this activity, and in here I had a grid. This is the grid that I actually pinned to the background, so it's locked in the background. The students have got 10 of those arrows here each, so they can use this white space to write their code. I've put some wall blocks in here so that we can make the tasks more difficult. And we've got start points and end points, which the students can put anywhere on this screen, and they can draw the path they're going to get to get from green to red, and then they'll code the path here on the in the white space. And so it's a very interactive option for these students. Obviously, I've done this for computational thinking. You could do that for reading and for writing, etc. And when you're happy with your task, you click on Assign, and then you can click on the classroom that you want to send it to. I've got 3 classrooms here. You can assign it to specific students. Now, that won't stop any other students from doing the task, but what SeeSaw keeps track of is it's only going to keep track of those students that respond, that actually do the task, and will let you know that they've done it. Other students can still do it, so other students can still see it, but SeeSaw will only keep track of these 3 students doing that. And when you've done your task, you click on tick. So that's how we actually create and distribute a activity in SeeSaw.